Today's session, I'm going to be telling you, with the help of live examples, how you analyze previous year questions and how that can help you in predicting questions which are the themes which may be asked going ahead in the future. UPSC has already asked a question on the disqualification provisions for the members of the parliament and the state legislatures in India. Now I should start thinking, if they've already asked about what are the grounds for disqualification of the members of the parliament, I must also think what are the exceptions that exist with respect to disqualifications of the members of the parliament. Hi everyone, welcome to Unacademy IAS English. My name is Jatin and I have been an educator for the UPSC Civil Services examination for the last 12 years. I teach the subject of polity, governance, ethics and internal security. Today I'm talking about a topic which is something that you must have always heard of while you must have begun the preparation for the civil services examination, but also a topic that must have left you extremely confused. If you would have gone through any topper talk, if you would have heard any topper talk about preparation for this examination, they would always tell you that there are two things that are really crucial for you to do well in this examination. One is to understand what the syllabus of the examination is, and second, to analyze the previous year questions. Unfortunately, even though so many people talk about analyzing the previous year questions, but very few people actually tell you how to analyze them and how you can use that analysis to make yourself better prepared for the examination in future. So in today's session, I'm going to be telling you, with the help of live examples, how you analyze previous year questions and how that can help you in predicting questions for the future. So therefore, we will be making our journey from the previous year questions to the predicted questions for the coming years. And I will be doing that with the help of some of the topics of General Studies Paper 2. But the expectation would be that you would learn this skill and you would be able to apply this on your own for the other topics as well and truly master this paper of general studies. So let's begin. When I look at the syllabus for the UPSC Civil Services examination for paper 2 of general studies, it's a 14-line syllabus that has been provided by UPSC. But the topics that have been provided in the syllabus are very broad in nature. For example, when you look at this topic, it says separation of powers between various organs, dispute redressal mechanisms and institutions. It often leaves me very confused. If I'm an aspirant, what do I actually need to prepare in the topic of separation of powers? What do I need to prepare in the topic of dispute redressal mechanisms and institutions? If I look at the topic of comparison of Indian constitutional scheme with that of the other countries, it leaves me very confused. I have to think that, do I have to go and read the constitutions of round about 200 countries of the world, compare that with the Indian constitutional scheme, or do I have to read only the Constitution of India and try to compare that with Constitution of probably a few other countries? This is one topic that I have seen has given jitters to some of the best candidates in the examination. If you look at the topic of functions and responsibilities of union and states, it's a very broad topic. तो exactly इस topic के अंदर क्या prepare करना है ये बड़ा बताना मुश्किल है. Similarly, issues and challenges that are pertaining to federal structure. फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर के अंदर तो बहुत सारे challenges होंगे. There must be challenges with respect to legislative relationship between the union and the states. There must be some issues and challenges related to the financial relations between the union and the states. There may be some ongoing conflicts between the states with respect to the sharing of the interstate river waters. Exactly what is it that I need to prepare in this? Similarly, if you look at the topic of devolution of powers and finances up to local levels and challenges therein, in what kind of depth do I need to go of each of these issues? For example, challenges with respect to lack of trained and capable functionaries in the local governments in India, municipalities and panchayats. तो उस टॉपिक में मुझे किस डिटेल के लेवल तक जाना है, ये कई बार बहुत सारे कैंडिडेट्स के लिए एक्सट्रीमली कंफ्यूजिंग होता है. सिमिलरली, If you look at the topic of statutory, regulatory, and various quasi-judicial bodies, there are so many statutory bodies that have been set up in India. Which all bodies do I need to prepare for the examination? What all dimensions I need to prepare for each of these bodies? Similarly, for the topic of regulatory bodies, do I need to know only about the Competition Commission of India because UPSC has asked a few questions on the topic of Competition Commission of India? Do I need to prepare the topic of TRAI? Do I need to know about NHAI? What all details I need to know about each of these topics? Do I need to know only the composition of these bodies, the functions of these bodies? What are some of the achievements of these bodies? What are some of the shortcomings associated with the functioning of these bodies? What are the reforms that are required in the functioning of these bodies? These are questions that I really don't have an answer to till the time I actually go and see the most important aspect of preparation of this examination, which is the previous year questions. If you look at the syllabus of the examination, it tells you what is the topic that is supposed to be prepared. If you look at the previous year questions, it tells you what are the themes that you need to prepare. If you combine these two things, then you would be also able to tell what are the kind of questions that UPSC can ask in future. Not only would it help me in preparing these topics better, but also when I am reading the newspapers, at that time I can decide that what all are the issues that I need to focus on. What all are the topics that I need to understand in depth. That will also tell me what are the topics that I need to ignore, what are the topics that I should not be studying in the newspapers. That will therefore help me tremendously reduce the time that I spend on newspaper reading. I'm sure that many of you people at this stage would be spending almost 2 to 3 hours on a daily basis to read the newspapers. I believe if you strategize things properly, if you understand what the syllabus of the examination is, you'll be able to do this coverage within a span of 45 minutes to 1 hour on a daily basis. और हो सकता है कि आगे जाते हुए आप इस समय को थोड़ा सा और लिमिट कर सकें. And that time can be then used for answer writing, for PYQ solving, can be used for solving the MCQs, can be used for writing tests as well as for just chilling. So anyway, let's begin and let me tell you exactly what are the things that are supposed to be done and which will help you in understanding this better. But before I go there, I just want to make a small announcement. The course for 2-year preparation with comprehensive content and coverage for UPSC in English is going to be beginning on the 31st of August at 7 p.m. And I am going to be starting with the classes of polity and governance in this batch. You will find some of the best educators, those who teach in English, in this particular batch, including Sarmad sir, Chetan sir, Mukesh sir, Hima ma'am, Shyam sir, and all the other faculty lineup that we have. This course will provide you a good grasp over the basic concepts, but I also assure you that apart from just teaching you the basics, we will try to cover the advanced concepts as well, which will prepare you for the mains examination. So if you are planning to enroll in this course, please do use the IAS English code because that will help you to take to the course and to be in my class directly. I hope that I will be seeing many of you in my class. Now, I already talked about that how the syllabus plus PYQs lead to prediction for the future for the examination, and I have also discussed about what the syllabus of the examination exactly looks like. Now, what is that we need to do with the help of these previous year questions and with the help of syllabus? First and foremost, I need to understand what all are the themes on which UPSC has already asked क्वेश्चंस. तो हर टॉपिक को हम थीम्स के अंदर डिवाइड करने की कोशिश करेंगे और मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल के थ्रू एक्सप्लेन करूंगा, इनफैक्ट 2 एग्जांपल्स के थ्रू एक्सप्लेन करूंगा. Then we will be talking about what all can actually be asked from these particular themes. What all has already been asked, we will be doing a tick of that. And then among the remaining themes, what are those themes that I need to be expecting in the coming years of examination on the basis of what I read in the newspapers and what is being covered in the current affairs. सबसे पहली चीज तभी हमें हर टॉपिक के साथ ये करनी है कि हमें उस टॉपिक को ब्रेक डाउन करते हुए उसकी थीम्स लिस्ट करनी होंगी. ये थीमेटिक लिस्टिंग कैसे की जाएगी? लेट मी एक्सप्लेन दैट टू यू विद हेल्प ऑफ वन एग्जाम्पल. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ आई हैव टू प्रिपेयर द टॉपिक ऑफ पंचायती राज इंस्टीट्यूशंस, what are the themes that UPSC would expect me to know about the topic of Panchayati Raj institutions? First and foremost, I need to know the constitutional provisions related to the Panchayati Raj institutions in India. This we anyway cover as a part of our prelims preparation. So we don't really need to worry so much about it. Do I need to remember each and every article with respect to Panchayati Raj institutions? No. अगर आपको बस एक ब्रॉड अंडरस्टैंडिंग है कि पंचायत्स इंडिया के अंदर किस तरीके से स्ट्रक्चर्ड हैं, व्हाट इज द कॉम्पोजिशन ऑफ पंचायत्स इन इंडिया, व्हाट आर द प्रोविजंस रिलेटेड टू रिजर्वेशंस इन पंचायत्स, व्हाट आर द प्रोविजंस विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द फंक्शंस ऑफ पंचायत्स, इलेक्शंस इन पंचायत्स, फिनेंसेस ऑफ पंचायत्स, एंड what is the tenure of panchayats, how can they be dissolved. अगर मुझे ये थोड़ी बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग प्रीलिम्स की तैयारी करते हुए आ चुकी है, I do not need to worry about knowing the exact constitutional articles. The second thing in this which I need to then know about is what is the importance of panchayats in India's governance architecture. क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है, क्यों पंचायत्स को एस्टैब्लिश किया गया, एंड व्हाट इज द रोल दैट दीज पंचायत्स प्ले. द थर्ड थिंग दैट आई नीड टू नो इज what are some of the achievements of panchayats in India in the past, and here I need to not only have some statistics but I also need to have some case studies or examples of successful panchayats in India. Where can I find all this information? One, I can find this information with the help of reading newspapers, but I can always use textbooks and I can always be using AI and the internet as well to get information on this aspect. The fourth will be, what are the challenges associated with the functioning of panchayats in India? But when I have to prepare challenges associated with functioning of panchayats, these challenges and issues with respect to functioning of panchayats themselves will be many. For example, there will be challenges and issues related to functioning of panchayats in terms of their funds. What are the sources of funds of panchayats? What are the mechanisms through which they are able to get the transfers from the center to the states? What are the ways in which we can augment the sources or the funds of the panchayats? Similarly, there are several challenges associated with the functions that have not been given to the panchayats by the states. So I need to be knowing about that as well. And lastly, I also need to know about the functionaries of panchayats. The people, those who are the part of panchayats, what is that which is lacking with respect to their functioning? उनकी कैपेसिटी में, कैपेबिलिटी में, ट्रेनिंग के अंदर जो कमी है और उसको किस तरीके से फुलफिल किया जा सकता है, आई नीड टू नो अबाउट दैट. बट दीज आर नॉट द ओनली थिंग्स दैट आई नीड टू नो अबाउट द चैलेंजेस एसोसिएटेड विद पंचायत्स. The idea of setting up panchayats in India was also to ensure social justice, was to ensure that women in India can be empowered, would have the power to take decisions with respect to their own lives. Not just that, but the marginalized sections of the society, including the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and the OBCs also would be able to get uplifted in the society as a result of the formation of these panchayats. तो ये मेरे को एक थीम प्रिपेयर करना होगा. Similarly, I would need to then prepare what are the recommendations that have been provided by the various committees as far as the functioning of the panchayats is concerned. I don't need to have an endless list of these recommendations. मैं शायद एक particular issue के लिए जैसे पंचायत है, I can have maybe 6 or 8 recommendations and that shall be more than enough for me to have all the content in one place. But now here is the thing. मुझे ये कुछ ब्रॉड थीम्स पता है जो मुझे पंचायत के बारे में प्रिपेयर करनी है. दिस आई कैन फाइंड इन एनी स्टैंडर्ड मटेरियल, दैट आई कैन फाइंड इन एनी स्टैंडर्ड क्लासेस एज वेल. बट एग्जैक्टली यूपीएससी इससे किस तरीके के क्वेश्चन पूछता है और किस तरीके के क्वेश्चन और किस तरीके की नॉलेज वो मेरी फ्यूचर में टेस्ट कर सकता है, ये जानने के लिए आई विल हैव टू डू अ फ्यू मोर थिंग्स एज वेल. फॉर दैट आई विल हैव टू एनालाइज द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस, सी व्हाट आर द themes that have already been asked by UPSC. वो तो मुझे पता ही होनी चाहिए, but I also need to think about what are the themes that UPSC can ask in future with respect to the functioning of panchayats in India. So let me explain this to you a bit more with the help of an example. So what I was telling you that first what we need to do is we need to list the themes. The second thing that we need to do is to tick those themes which have already been asked by UPSC in the past. And third, out of those themes, which are the themes which UPSC has not asked, I need to circle them. I call this method as the LTC method. मुझे हर टॉपिक के लिए सिलेबस में, whether it is GS2 or whether it is 1 or GS3 or GS4 or essay or optional, I have to make sure that I do this LTC trick where I list the themes, I tick the ones that UPSC has already asked. That does not mean that I will ignore them. That tells me actually that I have to know them by heart because वो already पूछ चुका है और अगर UPSC ने उसी के ऊपर वापस से क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया तो मुझे उस बॉल के ऊपर छक्का मारना पड़ेगा. And the third one is circle those themes and then prepare those themes which are left to be asked in the exam. Let me tell you this with the help of one topic which I feel is a dreaded topic for most of the candidates in the examination, which is comparison of India's constitution with that of the other countries. तो इसमें मुझे क्या क्या प्रिपेयर करना है. एक थीम जो इसके अंदर प्रिपेयर करने की जरूरत है, दैट इज द टॉपिक ऑफ comparison of India's constitutional scheme and the government system that has been created with the system that has been created in other countries of the world. So, for example, I will need to know presidential versus parliamentary system. But presidential versus parliamentary system में मुझे prepare क्या करना है? I need to know what are the features of the presidential system. I need to know what are the features of the parliamentary system. I also need to know what are the merits of the presidential system and the demerits of the same, and I need to do the same for the parliamentary system as well. Not only that, but I should also think that in India's context, which system is more suitable. क्या इंडिया के लिए पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम ज्यादा सूटेबल है या इंडिया के लिए प्रेसिडेंशियल सिस्टम ज्यादा सूटेबल है? ऑफ कोर्स वी चोज पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम बिकॉज ऑफ नंबर ऑफ रीजंस, बट देन समवन मे आस्क दैट शुड वी मूव फ्रॉम पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम टू प्रेसिडेंशियल सिस्टम इन इंडिया. द अदर थिंग दैट आई नीड टू प्रिपेयर इज, लेट्स से, द टॉपिक ऑफ फेडरलिज्म, द थीम ऑफ फेडरलिज्म. बट इस फेडरलिज्म की थीम को भी मुझे मल्टीपल सब थीम्स में डिवाइड करना पड़ेगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, what is the comparison of USA's model of federalism versus Indian model of federalism? We often say that USA's model of federalism is the coming together federalism. India's model of federalism is the holding together federalism. तो इन दोनों फेडरलिज्म के मॉडल में डिफरेंस क्या है? और दूसरी सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट बात, that what is it that India can learn from USA's model of federalism and what is it that America can learn from India's model of federalism? Similarly, I have to prepare the topic of secularism. See, these are all the themes that I'm picking up with the help of previous year questions, and I'll tell you how. Secularism is one theme that UPSC has asked in comparative constitution multiple times earlier. I have to know what is the Indian concept or Indian model of secularism, and how does that compare to the model of secularism that exists in United States of America. We also know that there is a separate model of federalism that exists in France. तो जो फ्रांस का मॉडल ऑफ फेडरलिज्म है वो किस तरीके से यूएसए और इंडियन मॉडल ऑफ फेडरलिज्म से अलग है. Not only that, but when I am understanding these models, I also need to know what are the challenges associated with each of these models. I also need to know what are the merits of each of these models. Again, I don't need to do a PhD on these things, but मुझे कुछ basic pointers पता होने चाहिए which will help me in writing examination के अंदर आंसर्स. सिमिलरली अगर हम टॉपिक ऑफ राइट्स की बात करें तो फंडामेंटल राइट्स हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में भी है और फंडामेंटल राइट्स अमेरिकन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में भी है, बट देयर इज अ सिग्निफिकेंट डिफरेंस. इवन दो fundamental rights in our constitution are in many way inspired from the fundamental rights in America's constitution, but I need to know what is the difference between freedom of speech and expression in India versus United States of America. For example, many of you would know that in America's constitution, the limitations that have been imposed on freedom of speech and expression to be imposed by the state are almost negligible. Whereas in India's case, the limitations that can be imposed on freedom of speech and expression have been defined in the Indian constitution itself. The other thing which can be a point of difference is that in India's constitution, freedom of speech and expression mentions only freedom of speech and expression. In America's constitution, it mentions freedom of press as well. So we need to understand how these two models compare to each other. Similarly, rights के अंदर I need to compare right to equality in India versus right to equality in United States of America. UPSC, by the way, has already asked a question on the differing notions of equality in India versus that of USA. So now on the basis of this, I have to start thinking that UPSC has already asked a question on this. What else can it ask a question on? Possibly in future, it will ask a question on comparison of freedom of speech and expression in India versus USA. Or it may ask a question on right to freedom of religion in India versus the right to freedom of religion in United States of America. That's also a possibility. इसी तरीके से इंडिया के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में हमने लिखा है that no person shall be deprived of life and liberty, personal liberty, except according to procedure established by law. Whereas American Constitution says that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, and property except according to the due process of law. So what is the difference between due process of law and procedure established by law? Why is it that in India we wrote procedure established by law and why is it in America that they wrote due process of law? और क्या ऐसा भी हुआ कि हमने सोचा कि हम अपने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ऐसा लिखें? If yes, then what were the reasons for us to not include due process of law in our constitution is also one of the themes that we need to prepare as a part of our preparation. Similarly, when I'm comparing the rights in India, we might also want to compare the situation of minority rights in India versus the situation of minority rights in United States of America. Now, a lot of you must be thinking कि सर ये तो बहुत सारी चीजें हमें पता कैसे चलेंगी? And that's where I feel that a teacher helps. And if not teacher, then you'll have to probably rely on the internet, you'll have to rely on AI and a lot of material. And that's why I keep saying that the teacher cannot necessarily get you selected in the examination, but they can make the journey for you in the process of this examination much smoother. Anyway, let me come to the next topic. Let's say sovereignty. So now, what is the model of sovereignty that exists in India versus model of sovereignty that exists in UK? इंडिया के अंदर जब हम पार्लियामेंट्री सॉवरेनिटी की बात करते हैं और ब्रिटेन के अंदर सॉवरेनिटी की बात करते हैं, तो क्या डिफरेंस है बिटवीन द टू? सिमिलरली द टॉपिक ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट्स इलेक्शन सिस्टम, how is president of India elected vis-a-vis the president of United States of America? Not only that, but if there is news of the presidential election in some other major democratic country of the world and their system is slightly different from our system, then I need to know about that system as well. Not only that, but I need to know about the merits and the demerits of these systems. Again, I don't need to do a PhD, I don't need to know a lot of content, but मुझे थोड़े बहुत pointers तो जरूर पता होने चाहिए. Similarly, another topic which can be asked by UPSC related to comparison of constitution can be on the topic of FPTP versus the PR system. As you people know, we have adopted what is called as first past the post system in India. First past the post system का मतलब होता है that whichever candidate in the elections ends up winning maximum number of votes, that person is declared as the winner. If there are 100 votes that are cast in a particular constituency, and if the candidate who has got the maximum number of votes has got 30 votes, even though 70 voters have rejected that person, he would be declared as the winner. Proportional representation system, on the other hand, is slightly different. The number of seats that a political party gets in the election depends upon the percentage of the votes that have been polled by that particular political party. So what I mean to say is that if there are 100 votes that have been polled in any constituency, and if party A is able to win 30 votes, then they will not be declared as the winner, even though they may have secured maximum number of votes, where B has secured 25 votes, C has secured 25 votes, D has secured 20 votes, and the others have secured the remaining votes. In this case, the percentage of the seats that will be allocated for that particular party would be in proportion to the votes that they have polled in their favor. So party A, for example, will be getting 30% of the seats out of the overall seats. So let's say if there are total of 10 seats for which these 100 votes were cast, party A would end up getting 3 seats out of those 10 seats. The point that I am basically trying to make here is that हमें FPTP और PR सिस्टम समझ में आना चाहिए, हमें उन दोनों सिस्टम के मेरिट्स डीमेरिट्स समझ में आने चाहिए, और हमें यह भी पता होना चाहिए that why is it that India ended up adopting the FPTP system over the PR system, what are the other systems that may exist across the world, and is it beneficial for India to move from FPTP to the PR system. अगर हम इस तरीके से हर टॉपिक को ब्रेक डाउन करते हुए एनालाइज करेंगे, वी विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड कि किस तरीके के टॉपिक्स यूपीएससी फ्यूचर में पूछ सकती है. लेट मी टेल यू अ फ्यू अदर थिंग्स एज वेल. अब जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल 2018 UPSC had asked a question on comparison of India's political system with the political system in United States of America. ऐसे कौन से बेसिक प्रिंसिपल्स हैं जिसके ऊपर इंडिया का पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम बेस्ड है और अमेरिका का पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम बेस्ड है? एक्चुअली लार्जली the comparison is between the presidential system that exists in America and the parliamentary system that exists in India. Similarly, what can France learn from India's constitution approach to secularism? So here the question was asked in 2019 when there was some news going on around the protests that were happening in France by the minority groups related to their rights. And that's where UPSC ended up asking a question on comparison of the French concept of secularism versus the Indian concept of secularism, and what are the learnings that France can take from India's concept of secularism. Similarly, a question was asked in 2020, which I was telling you about, between the comparison of analyzing the distinguishing features of India's equality and the concept of equality that exists in United States of America. जब हम फाउंडेशन बैच में, कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव बैच के अंदर या मेंस बैच में इसका डिस्कशन करते हैं, तो देन वी टॉक अबाउट दैट हाउ there is a significant difference in the way equality functions in India versus the way it functions in the United States of America. For example, we will be trying to compare how the affirmative policy works in India versus the affirmative policy in United States of America. Similarly, we will be doing a comparison of how the right to equality in India is not just restricted to one article like United States of America, but it is spread over multiple articles because of the historic experiences of India. So on the basis of these previous year questions, I can understand कि UPSC किस तरीके के questions different themes पे पूछता है और उसके बेसिस पे मैं फ्यूचर के क्वेश्चंस प्रिडिक्ट कर सकता हूं. लेट मी गिव यू एन एग्जांपल अगेन with the help of this topic itself of comparison of Indian Constitution with that of the other countries. इस टॉपिक के लिए हमें क्या डिफरेंट सब थीम्स प्रिपेयर करनी है. I need to prepare, for example, the comparison of the executive in India versus the executive in United States of America. In this, for example, I should know what is the difference between the presidential election method in India and United States of America. Similarly, I need to know the difference between the pardoning powers of the President of India and pardoning powers of the President of United States of America. Similarly, I need to know, is there any corresponding provision in American Constitution with respect to the ordinance making powers of the President of India and ordinance making powers, if at all there exists something like that in United States of America. Not just that, but I also need to prepare the topic of legislature with the same lens. What is the comparison in the powers of the Council of States in America with that of in India with the Senate that exists in America? Similarly, अगर आपको ये पता हो, केवल powers के respect में मुझे इसको नहीं prepare करना है. In India, the Council of States does not have equal representation for all the states. The representation of states varies from 1 seat to 31 seats. Maximum of 31 for UP and one seat each for every state in the northeastern states. So I need to know that America के अंदर क्या system है. As you people would know, in America there are 50 seats in their Senate and there are 100 seats in the Senate and there are 50 states in America. So every state has been given 2 seats. So there is often a question that comes up in our mind that should India also have equal representation of states in the Council of States like United States of America? Would that be advantageous or would there be certain concerns associated with the same? Similarly, I need to know what are the differences between the House of Representatives in America versus the House of People in India. I possibly need to know what is the difference in the way the money bills are passed in India and how they are passed in United States of America. What is the difference in the performance of the Indian Parliament versus the performance of the American Parliament? I also need to know what are the powers of and the functions of the various parliamentary committees in India vis-a-vis the parliamentary committees that exist in United States of America. मेरे को यही इसी तरीके का कुछ कंपैरिजन यूनाइटेड किंगडम के लिए भी करना है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई हैव टू कंपेयर and contrast the House of Commons in Britain with the House of People in India. I have to compare and contrast the House of Lords in Britain with that of the Senate or United States of America or the Council of States in India. Similarly, I also need to look at what is the method of election to the Indian Parliament, the American Parliament and the British Parliament. But इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि मुझे ब्रिटिश और अमेरिकन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के बारे में सारी डिटेल्स पता होनी चाहिए. अगर मैं इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की कुछ बेसिक डिटेल्स जानता हूं, जब हम इन टॉपिक्स को क्लास में कवर करते हैं तो उसी समय हम थोड़ा बहुत अमेरिका और ब्रिटेन के सिस्टम के बारे में भी बता देते हैं, एंड दैट इंफॉर्मेशन इज मोर देन यूजफुल फॉर मी टू सेल थ्रू एनी ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस. प्लीज डू रिमेंबर there are 190 plus countries in the world. I don't need to know the constitution of each of these countries, and definitely not the ones which are not democratic in nature. So there is no need for me to study the Chinese constitution or the French constitution. French constitution समझने के लिए तो इनफैक्ट मुझे फ्रेंच सीखनी पड़ेगी पहले, और द जापानीज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन और द जर्मन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एक्सेट्रा. इस टॉपिक को प्रिपेयर करने का तरीका यह है कि आप इसी तरीके से हर टॉपिक ऑफ सिलेबस को जो है वो डिवाइड कीजिएगा वेरियस सब थीम्स और थीम्स के अंदर. एग्जीक्यूटिव की एक थीम को डिवाइड कर दिया, लेजिस्लेचर को डिवाइड कर दिया. सिमिलरली आई कैन डिवाइड द थीम विद रिस्पेक्ट टू जुडिशरी. In India, we have an integrated judicial system, whereas in America, they have a fragmented judicial system. तो दोनों सिस्टम्स के क्या एडवांटेजेस हैं और डिसएडवांटेजेस हैं, मुझे ये ब्रीफली पता होना चाहिए. I should also know that what is the method of appointment to the judiciary in India vis-a-vis the method of appointment to the higher judiciary in United States of America and in UK. Are there any changes that have been introduced in some of these countries on the lines of what we have seen in India in form of the Judicial Appointment Commission? What are the methods that exist for enforcing judicial accountability in India, and what are the mechanisms in US and UK? Which of the mechanisms have actually been working effectively? So the point that I'm trying to make is that मुझे हर सब टॉपिक ऑफ द सिलेबस को डिवाइड करना है वेरियस थीम्स और सब थीम्स के अंदर. मुझे एक एक्सेल शीट बनानी है. सो व्हाट आई आइडियली वुड डू इफ आई वाज टू prepare this topic of comparison of Indian constitution properly, I would prepare an Excel sheet. And in this Excel sheet, I would write down themes. And then I would start writing down the sub-themes of these themes. So for example, there would be theme 1 which I will be writing. और उस थीम 1 के नीचे मैं वेरियस सब थीम्स लिखूंगा. सो देयर विल बी सब थीम 1, देयर विल बी सब थीम 2, 3, 4, 5 एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. और इन सब थीम्स के सामने मैं ये लिखूंगा दैट वेदर क्वेश्चन हैज बीन आस्क्ड और नॉट. इफ इट हैज बीन आस्क्ड देन आई विल टिक. इफ इट हैज नॉट बीन आस्क्ड देन आई विल पुट अ सर्कल. Once this LTC is done, on the basis of that, now my next task has to be that I identify among the themes that have not been asked, which ones are the ones which seem the most probable for this year's examination. तो उसके लिए मुझे क्या करना होगा? I will have to sit with the current affairs of last few months, and I will have to analyze that what are those themes on which UPSC probably may ask the question this year. एक simple सा example देता हूँ. Then when last year the question was asked on comparison of the pardoning powers of the Indian president and the concept of preemptive pardon in India vis-a-vis the concept of preemptive pardon in the United States of America, it was a very expected question in the mains examination. In fact, some of my students, those who were studying the mains batch from me, मैंने उनको बताया भी था कि हो सकता है इस बार pardoning powers of the president को compare करेंगे. How could I predict that? ऐसा नहीं कि मेरे पास कोई क्रिस्टल बॉल है और मैं नॉस्ट्राडामस हूं कि मैं देख के बता दूं कि कल क्या होने वाला है. But it was simply because of reading newspapers. While I was reading the newspapers, I had come across that Joe Biden in United States of America has issued preemptive pardon to a number of people, including his own son. So I thought that if there is news about preemptive pardons in United States of America, then UPSC may probably ask a question on comparison of pardoning powers of India and America. And surprisingly, when I looked at the paper, then I saw that particular question in the first 10 questions itself. So the whole point that I am trying to make here is that जब हम ऐसे themes का analysis करते हैं और उसके बाद यहाँ पे current affairs का भी एक column बना लेते हैं, and we write that what are the themes that are going to map to the current affairs this year, they automatically end up becoming very important for that year's examination. तो मुझे इसी तरीके से कंपैरिजन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के रिस्पेक्ट में कंपैरिजन करना है इन टर्म्स ऑफ जुडिशरी, एग्जीक्यूटिव, legislature, fundamental rights, provisions related to federalism, various aspects related to dispute resolution mechanism, various aspects related to the basic principles of the constitution. For example, UPSC may also ask a difference between the way the preamble of Indian constitution has been designed and written and the preamble of the American constitution. They may in future ask a question on the topic of comparing the whole federal scheme that exists in India, where we have asymmetric federalism in India, where different states have different powers and arrangement within the Indian federal setup, vis-a-vis the symmetric federalism that exists in United States of America. The probability of which theme will be asked in which particular year will depend a lot on what has been in the news in that particular year. So I hope that this helped you in understanding how the topic of comparison of Indian constitution is supposed to be prepared. Let me give you one more example. That example is going to be about द रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल एक्ट. तो ये भी एक ऐसा टॉपिक है जहां पे मैंने हमेशा स्टूडेंट्स को स्ट्रगल करते देखा है, एंड द रीजन फॉर दैट इज बिकॉज इंफॉर्मेशन इस टॉपिक के बारे में बहुत सारी होती है, बट एग्जैक्टली क्या प्रिपेयर करना है ये कई बार स्टूडेंट्स को नहीं पता होता है. सो व्हाट इज दैट वी नीड टू प्रिपेयर इन द टॉपिक ऑफ रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल एक्ट. अभी जो थीम्स ऑलरेडी यूपीएससी पूछ चुकी है वो मैंने लिस्ट डाउन कर दी है ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द क्वेश्चन दैट हैव बीन आस्क्ड बाय यूपीएससी. बट इसके बेसिस के ऊपर अब मुझे यह भी सोचना है कि फ्यूचर में यूपीएससी क्या पूछ सकती है. फॉर एग्जांपल, यूपीएससी has already asked a question on the disqualification provisions for the members of the parliament and the state legislatures in India. Now I should start thinking, if they have already asked about what are the grounds for disqualification of the members of the parliament, I must also think what are the exceptions that exist with respect to disqualifications of the members of the parliament. What are some of the case laws related to disqualification of the members of the parliament? UPSC has already asked a question on corrupt electoral practice. तो मुझे एक बार जाके रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल एक्ट में देना चाहिए कि अगर कुछ ऐसा ही कंपेरेबल और कहीं भी एग्जिस्ट करता है क्या रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल एक्ट में. सिमिलरली फॉर द टॉपिक ऑफ इलेक्शन डिस्प्यूट्स, देयर वाज अ क्वेश्चन दैट हैड बीन आस्क्ड बाय यूपीएससी a couple of years back, which was discuss the procedures to decide the disputes arising out of the election of a member of the parliament or state legislature under the Representation of People Act of 1951. Now, not only should I be knowing how the election disputes are decided, but I should also be knowing what are the challenges that are involved in resolution of such election disputes. What are the ways in which I can overcome these election disputes in India? And what are the ways in which we can minimize them going ahead in the future? Similarly, a question was asked by UPSC in 2024 related to the idea of organizing one nation, one elections in India. Interestingly, in 2017 as well, UPSC had asked a question on simultaneous elections. तो सपोज कीजिएगा कि अब अगर मुझे फ्यूचर के लिए थीम्स प्रिडिक्ट करनी हो तो मैं क्या थीम्स सोच सकता हूं यूपीएससी पूछ सकती है. यूपीएससी पॉलिटिकल फंडिंग के ऊपर अभी तक सवाल नहीं पूछी है. देयर इज नॉट a single question that has been asked in the mains examination on this. So what are the things that I need to prepare here? I should prepare, for example, the electoral bonds. What was the judgment of the Supreme Court of India with respect to electoral bonds and why did they strike them down? I need to prepare on the transparency standards in electoral funding in India. How do we ensure effective transparency in electoral funding? Similarly, in the electoral funding, a lot of times political parties get their donations in cash, which is unaccounted for. So, what are the solutions to overcome these cash donations that exist in the Indian politics? The fourth topic that I probably need to prepare is that what are the reforms that are required in order to ensure the better functioning of electoral politics in India and to reduce the expenditure that is made on the electoral activity in India. Similarly, अगर मुझे criminalization of politics के ऊपर prepare करना है. Again, a theme which UPSC has not asked in the mains examination in the last 13 years. I should know what is the meaning of criminalization of politics. What is the effect of criminalization of politics on the society, on the economy, on India's image globally? I also need to know what are the ways to overcome criminalization of politics in India. I need to know what are the measures that have already been taken to overcome criminalization of politics, plus the limitations of these measures also that have been taken to ensure to overcome criminalization of politics in India. The point that I'm trying to basically make here is that I need to again be dividing this particular theme into various sub-themes and then have some limited amount of content for each of those sub-themes. और ये मैं तभी कर पाऊंगा जब मैं सिलेबस, प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस और करंट अफेयर्स को साथ में रख के जोड़ने की कोशिश करूंगा. नाउ what I want you people to do is, for the next few days, please identify which are those two topics which you fear the most out of General Studies Paper 2 syllabus. आप उन दो टॉपिक्स के थीम्स और सब थीम्स बनाइए, और ये आप किसके बेसिस पे करेंगे? प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस के बेसिस पे. और फिर आपको ये डिसाइड करना है that which are the themes which may be asked going ahead in the future. What I can do from my end is that when you write in the comment that these are the themes that or sub themes that you have prepared, I will respond to your comments personally and tell you that what all other dimensions could be added in those themes and sub themes. So here is my promise. If you make the effort to write down for two important topics of the mains syllabus of General Studies Paper 2, the themes and the sub-themes that may possibly be asked and have been asked in the previous year questions, I will tell you what are the missing themes or sub-themes you can add to that. And not only that, if some people of you, possibly let's say the number is 25 of you, do that task, I will make sure that I divide the entire syllabus into these themes and sub-themes and make a sheet and share it with you on my Telegram channel. This is all that I had to share with you in today's session. I hope that you were able to learn how to actually use the previous year questions and how to analyze what are the themes that need to be prepared for the mains examination accordingly. I'll be seeing you very soon with another session, and I hope to see some of you in my class starting on the 31st of August. Till then, all the best and see you soon.